For a better understanding, please watch the previous video if possible. When we feel anger, it comes with a strong, unpleasant sensation in our body. A rising heat, a racing heart, a feeling like a punch to the pit of the stomach. This bodily sensation is actually meant as a signal to address the underlying need. For example, restoring justice or receiving an apology. But many people, for various reasons, end up ignoring that need. Possibly because it's often not that easy to actually get that need met. And yet the intense, uncomfortable feeling remains something we clearly feel in our body. We might even amplify it with thoughts like they are doing this on purpose or similar. At that point, it's no longer about the original need that our body was signaling through those sensations. Instead, it becomes only about managing, regulating that extremely unpleasant feeling in our body. A common strategy is to talk about the situation. For example, an experienced injustice with our partner or with friends. If it's about something unfair that happened at work, especially someone in a higher position, we might then express at home all the feelings we had to suppress at work. We might raise our voice, become insulting, cry, and say everything we were thinking but couldn't say at work. And yes, the person telling the story at home notices that their anger, that intense, uncomfortable feeling in the stomach, and their negative thoughts start to decrease. They feel relieved, released. The bad feeling is almost gone. The rest might be taken care of by some chocolate and a good night's sleep. We all use this strategy of regulating our emotions, some more, some less. But it becomes problematic when the only strategy for dealing with difficult emotions is to relieve them with a loved one or a friend. Aside from the fact that the underlying need, such as restoring justice, remains unmet, it can also place a burden on our partner or our close friends. When they have to relive these unfair situations along with all the negative emotions with us. Because depending on how empathetic they are, they truly feel with us. And at the same time, they are largely helpless because they can't change the situation or the injustice. So depending on their sensitivity, this can be quite draining for them, even though they usually don't show it, because that might burden us even more. Or some people listen to their friends' problems even though it weighs on them, because it's also their strategy to deal with their own problems, to unload their negative feelings onto others. And they are glad to have someone they can turn to in return, without feeling too guilty, depending on their level of self-reflection, because after all, they listened to the other person's problems too. What's particularly problematic is this. We can learn and get used to the idea that we don't actually need to solve our problems. That it's enough just to deal with the unpleasant feelings that result from them. Many problems remain the same and return the next day if we don't start addressing them. But depending on the situation, we may have already given up on solving the problem altogether and settle for simply managing the negative feelings it creates. Of course, with psychology, we can learn other ways to handle and regulate emotions.